The scent of cinnamon and fresh bread still clings to my clothes, no matter how many times I wash them. It's a perfume I didn't choose, but one I've grown to carry like a second skin. Standing in my office above the bakery, silk blouse tucked into pressed slacks, I sometimes catch a glimpse of myself in the glass and almost laugh. People see composure, hair pinned neatly, nails polished a soft nude, a woman who seems untouchable. But the truth? My calm is stitched together with threads of battles I don't talk about. That morning, the sun had barely risen when my phone buzzed across the marble counter. I reached for it, expecting a supplier's update or maybe a message from one of my managers. Instead, it was a name I hadn't seen in months, Ryan. My older brother. The one who swore he had my back once upon a time, before betrayal slipped in like poison. The message was short, almost careless. "We need to talk about selling the bakery." My breath hitched, my heart pounding in a rhythm I hadn't felt in years. Selling? The bakery I had dragged out of debt, one sleepless night after another? My hands, which had kneaded dough until they blistered, suddenly felt cold. I stared at the screen, caught between fury and disbelief. My brother didn't know half of what I'd sacrificed, but now he wanted to cash out behind my back. I was 23 when the world tilted under my feet. Dad's bakery, our bakery, was drowning in debt. The ovens were old, the roof leaked every spring, and customers had thinned to a trickle. My father, Michael Turner, once known around town for his perfect sourdough, spent most mornings staring at unpaid bills with a look that made my chest ache. Ryan didn't stick around much. He was busy chasing bigger dreams, shiny ones that had nothing to do with the smell of yeast and sugar. But me? I couldn't turn away, even when Dad, exhausted and stubborn, told me I was too young, too naive to fix what was broken. I still remember the sting of that night. We were in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator filling the silence. "Emma," Dad sighed, rubbing his temples, "you need to think about your own future. This place, it's dying. Don't tie yourself to a sinking ship." His words left a lump in my throat. My hands trembled against the counter, flour dust sticking to my skin. "It's our bakery, Dad. You built this from nothing. Don't you think I can fight for it too?" He didn't answer, and that silence felt worse than rejection. The next day, I sat on the porch with my grandmother, Rose, who had baked alongside Dad when the business was just a corner store. She pressed a worn leather recipe book into my hands, its pages stained with butter and thyme. "Your father thinks you're too young," she said softly, her blue eyes steady. "But I see fire in you. This book, it's our family's heart. If you keep that alive, maybe the bakery will find its heartbeat again, too." Her belief lit something in me. I decided that night I wouldn't wait for permission. If I failed, at least I'd fail fighting. The following morning, I packed my apron, tucked the recipe book under my arm, and walked into the bakery with a new kind of resolve. Dad didn't look up from his bills. Ryan wasn't even there, but in my gut, I knew this was the start of my independence. The first few months nearly broke me. I had no savings worth mentioning, no safety net. Just Grandma Rose's recipe book, my determination, and a stubborn streak that had me scrubbing ovens at midnight and waking up before dawn to experiment with new flavors. I burned loaves, cried into mixing bowls, and once even collapsed on the kitchen floor with my knees pulled to my chest, wondering if Dad had been right all along. The bakery was bleeding money faster than I could patch it up. Suppliers looked at me like I was a little girl playing shop, their voices patronizing when they said things like, "Sweetheart, why don't you let your father handle this?" But every condescending smile only fueled me. A turning point came when I met Marion Brooks, a retired bakery owner who stopped in one morning after seeing our Help Wanted sign. She was in her 60s, sharp-eyed and brisk, but with a kindness that reminded me of Grandma. Instead of laughing at my chaos, she rolled up her sleeves and showed me tricks: how to stretch a pound of butter, how to streamline production, how to make bread not just food but an experience. "You've got the hands of a baker," she told me one night, watching as I braided challah. "But you'll need the head of a businesswoman if you want this place to survive." So I learned. I took night classes in accounting. I read books about marketing, leadership, even negotiation, subjects that once felt foreign. There were nights when my nails were chipped, my hair greasy from long shifts, but I kept going. I set up social media accounts, posted photos of warm cinnamon rolls with steam rising like little halos, and slowly people noticed. The first time a line stretched out the door on a Saturday morning, I nearly cried. Customers left with boxes in their arms and smiles on their faces, and for the first time in years, the register didn't sound empty when it closed. Still, I kept the truth quiet. Dad thought I was just helping out. Ryan barely called, and when he did, I downplayed everything. I posted modest updates online, never revealing the long nights, the expanding profit margins, or the fact that I was slowly pulling us out of debt. Inside, though, I felt myself changing. Each win, our first catering contract with the local hospital, our first feature in the town paper, the month we finally hit profit, stitched a stronger version of me together. I was no longer the trembling daughter begging for permission. I was becoming the woman who could carry an entire legacy on her shoulders. By the end of that first year, the bakery wasn't just surviving. It was thriving. And I promised myself one thing. No one, not even Ryan, would ever take away what I had rebuilt. Ryan showed up on a Friday afternoon without warning. I was in my office upstairs, reviewing the monthly profit report, when I saw him through the window, tall, polished in his tailored suit, sunglasses perched like he was too important for daylight. He hadn't set foot in the bakery in nearly 2 years. I walked downstairs, the scent of espresso and fresh croissants wrapping around me. Customers filled the cafe-style seating, laughter and chatter spilling across the polished wooden tables. Our staff, 6 of them now, all in crisp uniforms, moved like clockwork behind the counter. The shelves gleamed with pastries and artisan breads, everything perfectly arranged beneath warm lighting. Ryan froze in the doorway. For a moment, he looked like a stranger in his own family story. "Emma," he said, pulling off his sunglasses. What is all this?" I leaned against the counter, arms folded, letting him take it in. "This," I said evenly, "is the bakery." His jaw worked as he glanced around, watching customers swipe credit cards, kids licking frosting from cupcakes, a couple clinking their coffee cups. He didn't recognize the brand new espresso machine, the custom packaging with our family name embossed in gold, or the chalkboard menu that changed weekly. "This isn't possible," he muttered. When Dad left, the place was dying. I finished for him. "Yeah, I know. I was here, remember?" He turned to me, his eyes narrowing. "So, you're telling me you did this?" I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I walked him toward the glass wall separating the kitchen from the storefront. Inside, a team of bakers in aprons worked tirelessly, kneading dough, decorating cakes, sliding trays in and out of industrial ovens that gleamed under fluorescent light. I placed my hand on the glass. Every loaf, every cupcake, every dollar that kept this place alive, I rebuilt it. While you were gone, I stayed. I worked, and I turned Dad's debt into a business worth more than you can imagine. Ryan blinked, his face pale. "You're lying." I reached into my leather folder and laid down the proof. Financial reports, articles from the local paper, the LLC documents with my name listed as sole owner. "The bakery is mine, Ryan. I didn't just save it, I own it." His silence stretched long enough that I could hear the hiss of the espresso machine behind me. Finally, he exhaled sharply, almost a laugh. "Do you know what this place could sell for now? Millions. You could be set for life if you just sell it." I cut in, my voice low but sharp. "This isn't a stock to trade, Ryan. It's our father's legacy. Grandma's recipes. My sleepless nights. You think you can just walk in here and turn it into a payday?" For the first time, I saw shame flicker across his face. He looked at the bustling cafe, at me, at the paperwork that made everything undeniable. His lips parted, but no words came. I straightened my shoulders, every ounce of composure wrapping around me like armor. "You tried to sell my life's work behind my back. Now you know the truth. This bakery is worth millions, yes. But it's worth far more to me than money. And you? You no longer get to decide what happens here. The silence between us cracked like glass. Customers laughed in the background, unaware of the war unfolding in the center of the bakery. Ryan finally lowered his gaze, and in that moment, I knew the power had shifted. Ryan sat across from me in my office, the same space where Dad once pored over unpaid bills. Only now, the shelves gleamed with awards, framed articles, and photos of our bustling bakery team. The sunlight poured through the large windows, catching the edge of the marble desk I'd bought after our first profitable year. This was no longer the room of a failing business. It was mine, and it reflected everything I had built. He leaned back in the chair, arms crossed. So what now? You rub it in my face. Make me feel small. I took a deep breath, folding my hands calmly in front of me. No, Ryan. That's not what I want. But you don't get to waltz in here, talk about selling what I've bled for, and expect me to forget it. His eyes narrowed. Then what do you want? I leaned forward, steady, but not cruel. Accountability, respect, and honesty. He scoffed, but I didn't flinch. If you want any part of this family's future, you're going to earn it. Not with talk, not with shortcuts, with work. He frowned. Work? Doing what? You want to be involved? Then start at the bottom. No cushy office, no special treatment. You'll bake, sweep floors, learn recipes, serve customers. You'll remember what this place actually stands for before you ever talk about numbers again. His face tightened, pride battling shame. I pressed on. And it doesn't end there, I added. You'll drop the arrogance. Stop chasing quick money. Learn how to build something that matters. If you can't do that, you have no place here. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, softer, I said, I'm not doing this to punish you, Ryan. I'm doing it because I care. But I won't let you, or anyone, use this bakery as a pawn. Dad's legacy deserves better. I deserve better. His shoulders sagged, the fight slipping from his expression. He glanced at the framed recipe on the wall, Grandma's handwriting, Rose's apple pie, scrawled in faded ink. For once, his eyes didn't look calculating. They looked human. I let the silence sit before finishing. The choice is yours. Step up and be part of this, or walk away. But know this, I will never hand over what I've built. Not for millions, not for anything. For the first time, Ryan didn't have a comeback. And in that quiet surrender, I felt the full weight of power shift, firm, unshakable, and mine. In the weeks that followed, I noticed a change. Ryan actually showed up before sunrise, sleeves rolled, hands clumsy with dough. He burned more loaves than he saved, cursed under his breath when flour dusted his expensive shoes. But he stayed. Customers who once only knew him as the brother who left began to see him wiping tables, carrying trays, greeting them with something that looked almost like humility. Dad stopped by too. He stood quietly at the counter one morning, watching the lines stretch out the door. When our eyes met, he gave me the smallest nod. No words, just a silent acknowledgement that he had been wrong, that I had done what he couldn't, that his little girl had grown into the woman who saved his dream. One evening, after we closed, I pulled Grandma's recipe book from the shelf in my office. The leather was worn thinner now, the corners curling, the pages filled with her looping handwriting. I traced my fingers over the cover, remembering the night she placed it in my hands and told me she saw fire in me. She had been right. That fire hadn't just saved a bakery, it had remade me. I glanced through the glass wall into the kitchen, where Ryan was sweeping floors without complaint, and Dad was sitting at a corner table, sipping coffee with a quiet pride. The bakery smelled of cinnamon and sugar, but beneath it all was something deeper. Forgiveness, healing, the fragile start of a family mending itself. I closed the book and smiled. For years I had carried the weight of debt, betrayal, and doubt. But now, I carried something else, strength, independence, and the knowledge that I had rebuilt more than just a bakery. I rebuilt my dad's bakery from debt, and when my brother tried selling it behind my back for millions, he learned the one truth I'll never let anyone forget. I am the woman who turned ashes into bread and legacy into power.